Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Friendship Places webinar series. As you may know, we do a series of webinars on topics relating to some of our specific programs or topics more broadly relevant to the work that we do every day. I'm Chris Rutledge, Vice President of External Affairs. Before I start, I do always like to make a commercial for our Walk to End Homelessness, which will take place on May 3rd. You can go to friendshipplacewalk.org to sign up. We would love to see you out there. Today's topic is the Aston, our newest facility, and it's a very exciting program offering lots of opportunity for people in the community who need that little bit of extra assistance. And we're going to be joined today by Jonathan Whitted, our Vice President of Regional Programs, and Jeremy Jones, who is our Division Director of the Aston. But we're going to get started by speaking first to Jean-Michel Giroux, our President and CEO, and then Sakina Thompson from the Executive Office of the Mayor. And why don't we just take it away? Jean-Michel, over to you.
Yes, well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being online this afternoon to talk about the Aston. We're very excited about this newest program at Friendship Place. It's a bridge housing program where people arrive in homelessness and leave into housing within 90 days or so. It's also a first in the city. Families with everybody over 18 are able to stay together and rebuild together, which is really important, of course. And then we are able to help vulnerable singles. The program has opened in partnership with the Department of Human Services and the Community Partnership for the Prevention of Homelessness, with support from the Department of General Services for the site itself as well. And then support from a community advisory team, which is co-chaired by ANC Commissioner Jim Malik and Sakina Thompson of the Executive Office of the Mayor. And I'm very happy that Sakina will be speaking today. I just want to mention how important the work of the last 15 years, 15 to 20 years really has been in the city to build a very effective system in response to homelessness that we should be proud of as a city, and that many jurisdictions are looking to us for as an example. So we appreciate your support, all the donors on the call, and I'm going to throw this to Sakina Thompson of the Executive Office of the Mayor. Thank you, Sakina.
Hi, thank you, Jean-Michel and Chris, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm very excited to be here today with all of you. We in the Mayor's Office and the Department of Human Services are very excited about the Aston. It continues to expand targeted options for folks experiencing homelessness with the goal of reducing the amount of time people spend in homelessness by helping them with intensive supports to exit into permanent housing. And as Jean-Michel said, we're also very excited about the Aston because it's part of expanding our eligibility to address more people who are really difficult to serve in our general low barrier shelters. So I'm excited, happy to be here, and look forward to hearing what the presentation is.
Thank you. Jonathan, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the call today. Just to introduce again, my name is Jonathan Whitted. I'm the VP of Regional Programs here at Friendship Place. And the Aston is a wonderful project that we have been able to put together in the month of November. And as Jean-Michel mentioned before, it is a bridge housing program. A lot of individuals who are needing to get the supports that they need, whether it's connected with resources or finding housing, are able to have shelter that they can utilize in order to help with their transition into permanent housing. Most of the individuals that we work with have housing vouchers or are going to be connected with housing vouchers or rapid rehousing resources. But some individuals are waiting to be connected with resources too. But in saying that, everyone is able to connect with case management services within the program, and just helping them with other things of stability too as well, whether it's employment or things that they're going to need in order to sustain housing going forward is also a key part of the program too as well. We work in collaboration with DHS and the community partnership in order to manage operations at the Aston. Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of successes so far, especially within these 6 months that we have been open. And I know that I want to kick it over to Jeremy to kind of talk a little bit about that here in a second. But once again, I think that the community support that we've seen in Foggy Bottom has been great. We've definitely had a lot of people who've wanted to volunteer and want to see the success in the program, and I definitely can't thank them enough.
Thank you. Jeremy, I guess over to you.
Sure. So good morning again. Jeremy Jones, Division Director for the Aston. So I'm here at the program pretty much every day. We have a census of 100, or a capacity of 100. Currently, our census sits at 84. We're completing intakes as much as we possibly can, trying to bring in as many people as we can to assist with what's going on out in the community. We've had seven successful discharges or successful exits so far, which is, in 5 months. Not 6 months yet, Jonathan. We're 5 months. We're trying our best to help people transition into permanent supportive housing the best that they can. And as Jonathan said, our case management team works tremendously with not only the participant themselves, but whatever outside resource case managers they may have to provide housing, vital documents, job training, any potential substance abuse treatment that they may need, mental health. We stay pretty busy over here at the Aston. So, and again, we're open to any and all feedback from the community. We do have an email address that, if you wanted to contact any of management as far as Friendship Place is concerned regarding the Aston, we do have an email address for that. But again, I'm here, so if you want to come in and say hi, please, by all means, do that. So, but again, as Jonathan said, we just want to, say thank you to the community for supporting us, supporting, the mission that Friendship Place has, and supporting these participants who are, trying their best to get the help that they need.
Great. So generally, to everyone on this call, these work best when you all holistically or organically have questions that you would like to ask. I do have some sort of pre-prepared here, but honestly, this is a chance for you to ask questions that you may have. So please put the answer in the chat or your question in the chat. If you have the answer, go ahead and put that in the chat too, I guess, or raise your hand here. But Jeremy, you talked about the 7 exits. Within obviously bounds of confidentiality, what's the process been like to get to that point that you've got people successfully exiting? What sort of path do people follow while they're there?
So the easiest path is a person already has their voucher and, during their time here, they're looking for housing that fits that voucher. What can be difficult is a person who may not have a voucher. And so there still are steps that need to be taken to procure that voucher, which again, our case management does a great job in assisting. But again, we collaborate a lot with permanent supportive housing case managers outside in the community. Even though we have 7 currently, we have about 12 that have come in without vouchers and now are in the process. They have the voucher now and they're in the process of looking for those apartments. So we look forward to being able to share very soon more successes with our participants here at the Aston.
Alan, you asked a question in the chat about a volunteer program. Thank you, Alan. That's one of the questions I was going to. Alan, can you talk about what sort of volunteer needs you might envision? I know you're just really getting your feet under you in terms of getting the program up and running, but what do you envision in terms of potential volunteer needs?
Or maybe I can
Oh,
this.
go ahead, John.
Jeremy and I, while Jonathan was away last week, started to talk about the need for more fresh food in the building. So I'm just going to launch it, Jeremy, and you can explain what your vision is. Fresh food and clothing, also certain types of clothing that you need, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, we do have participants who have certain food needs. We're thinking about like a fresh food portion of the multi-purpose room that volunteers would be able to serve our participants with fresh food items. We do have food. We do get breakfast and dinner for our participants on a daily through Henry's. However, we do want to have a fresh food selection, and it would be great if we could have volunteers who would be serving during that time. We also do have a need for clothing, especially underwear for men and women, those type of items. So we've been working with our volunteer our volunteer leads with Friendship Place. We've sent out a list and given that. So some things have been delivered, which again we greatly appreciate. But of course, we could always use more.
Fantastic.
So
I guess, oh, go ahead, please.
just to explain, the idea would be that a team of volunteer neighbors and other people would actually, handle the food pantry, bring the food in, make sure it's presented well and that everything stays fresh, and so that there would be some exchanges between residents, the volunteers, the staff, and the same for the closet that we would put the donations in. We're trying to create some volunteer opportunities for people in the neighborhood.
And so I guess this is really a great opportunity here, and not to put any one person on the spot here, but if you are interested in serving as that sort of volunteer lead to coordinate fresh food delivery, please either reach out to myself or Jeremy or Jonathan, and or Chris Kennedy, who's our volunteer coordinator. If you wish to do so right now, and again, I don't want to put anybody on the spot here, but if anybody would like to come forward, please feel free. We'd love to. If we could get that process rolling on today's call, that would be phenomenal. So again, I won't call anybody, but if you feel so moved, please go right ahead and let us know right now, and we'll put you straight into what needs to be done on that front here. I'm going to go through the questions in the chat, and there's one person who actually, and Shamithia, if you don't mind, I will say your name because you put your name in the chat a few times, but you ask a great question. So you're coming to us, someone looking for assistance. And so, Jeremy, what would be the first step if someone wants to be wants assistance, needs assistance to get to being placed in the Aston? Can you walk through? And Shamithia, if you're still on the call here, and I think you are, you'll be able to learn firsthand how this process unfolds. So please go ahead to Jeremy.
Sure. So there are a multitude of different outreach programs which could potentially help with that. VIAS for that would need to be completed, and then there's a referral to the bridge housing programs. Our Welcome Center actually would complete them if you were to walk in. But again, there's other agencies who you can complete those with, and then depending on your level from the SPDAT, you would then be placed on the bridge housing program list. So there's other bridge housing programs out there as well. So depending on what your criteria is, you would be diverted to one of those programs.
And
And
I'll
the
jump
VIC
into
that,
just
go
to
ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, sorry about that, Jean-Michel. Samantha, if you need assistance, we can always talk after this call. I can send you my information because there could be other options that maybe there's something that you would be able to seek assistance through that we offer. So I want to make sure that we definitely see if we can address some of the challenges that you're going through right now.
Okay, thank you both so much. Actually, all three of you. And so, Shamithia, I hope that is helpful information and helps. This is all how this starts, right? This first step is reaching out to someone like Jonathan or Jean Michel or Jeremy, and we can help connect through services. I see also Tiaria and Faith from the Welcome Center are on the call, and so that helps to provide a little direction on how things can go. So, thank you. I'm glad we're able to talk about that. Mark, you put in the chat, do we have experience with residents who we realize may not be, who aren't going to be successful in this process? And what happens with those people? So, Jeremy, Jonathan, would you like to jump in with that?
When successful, that's, I mean, that's kind of a broad term, but what I will say is that everyone probably will not go into permanent supportive housing. So if we can find that a person has family, or a friend that they could potentially successfully transition into, then we want to help with that transition as well. So everybody potentially won't get a voucher. We have in our 7 successful exits, one person did go and return to their family. So the purpose of the program is to make sure that when people are transitioning, they're transitioning into some sort of stable housing.
Right. And I think, so thank you. And I think to the general point of the question, and Mark, not to speak for you here, it's not that no one gets turned out. A solution is found. And I think it's important really through all of our programs and all of our activities and buildings. Success takes a different definition for each person. And, we do a lot of work working with participants and identifying what success would be for them. And, that's something that we've done on, uncommonly well in our 34 years. So, and we bring that sort of expertise to the Aston. Jeremy, exactly what you just said. It's, success is different for everybody. So, but it's really identifying what is something that is sustainable, what gets people to stability, and it really follows what it is that their interest is. So, Mark, I hope that answers your question. Skipping down to Gail here. Is there an eligibility age range for residents at the Aston? Are very young adult families or couples under 26 available?
It's 18 and up.
18 and up, and what's special? And well, Jeremy, I'll let you talk a little bit about what makes the Aston different than other buildings or other facilities that take adults, and how we connect with families that have adult children.
Sure. So the Aston is different because we take adult singles, adult couples, and adult families. And so when we say adult families, we're meaning that the children are over the age of 18 as well. And so we can place them. We can have a couple who's married be able to be in a room, a private room to themselves, versus other potential shelters or programs, they may be split up. And so I think that's of interest to people who are homeless because they do not want to be split up from their families or their significant other.
Mm-hmm. And that's so powerful that so much you're even if you are 18 and legally and technically an adult, that support system that comes from your family and your parents is so vital. And so what makes this special is the opportunity to not divide people up that way. Our next 2 questions are kind of related. I think I'll combine them. Roxana, you're asking about having, do we have a list of fresh foods that would be interesting and useful? And Sakina, you had asked, would they be available during breakfast and dinner or maybe during the day? And so, Jeremy, what vision might you have on how we would implement a fresh food donation program?
That is a great question. And me and John Michelle didn't get into the weeds in that conversation. We just talked about, what we would like to have. But I mean, I'm open for whatever the participants would like. I don't want to get anything that ends up sitting and nobody, wants it. So it would be nice to give us some time to kind of process with the participants while also making sure that we're getting things that we probably already received, but just not in a big quantity. We get fresh fruit, so apples, bananas, things of that nature from Henry's already, but they go really quickly. So Yeah, that was a great question. We just need some time to put a list together.
Is it possible that a volunteer who's aware of what shopping options are available in the neighborhood might be able to help coordinate, build out that list and work in conjunction with you in developing?
Absolutely.
So again,
Absolutely.
and again, maybe someone's put it, I'm not reading all the way down the chat. Maybe someone's already volunteered and I'll be surprised when I get to that point in the chat. But if anyone would like to step forward as a volunteer to coordinate a food pantry, you'd have the opportunity to work with Jeremy and Jonathan and the other folks at the Aston to help build out what that could look like. So it's a really exciting way to get out in front here. And so as to Sakina's question, I think that you would envision making this food available all day long, right?
Absolutely, yes, much more of the time, right? Because people have different hours. Some people are working different shifts, and people may get hungry late in the evening and need something the way we all do sometimes. And so that's the idea. Yes, to make fresh foods available much more of the time, and of course to get support from the community to bring the food in and monitor that area so that it stays nice.
Very good. No, thank you.
Christian, how do you feel about this? Throwing to you, Christian Howard from the Department of Human Services and formerly from Friendship Place. Do you want to comment? And you're muted.
Sorry, say it again.
So
I was like
just wanted to invite you
multitasking.
to speak because we haven't given you a chance to do that yet.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Christian Howard and I'm from DHS, and I am the program manager who oversees Aston at DHS on the DHS side. And I work closely with Jeremy. And so I'm excited to be here and working with Friendship Place.
Thank you. Thank you. Jumping down a little bit in some of the questions here. Question, where is the Aston? So Jeremy, tell us a little bit about the neighborhood that we're working in.
So one, I want to preface this with I don't live in DC. So if I say something wrong, just let me know, okay? We are in Foggy Bottom. We're near the Foggy Bottom bus station on one side. And there's another bus station on the other side, but I don't really know the name of it. But if you're asking for the address, we're at 1129 New Hampshire, here in Northwest DC.
Very good. And it's exciting that this gives us an opportunity to be in a neighbor and to expand our reach and be in different neighborhoods and really be able to offer services throughout. And that's very much our goal, our intention is to really be an organization that can be everywhere we need to be, because as we know, the need is everywhere. So that's, we want to be representative of the city writ large. So, Gail, you've asked a question about a wish list that we can share. So we talked a little bit about some of the fruit. Jeremy, what are some of the other things that people have already been donating that you've found to be particularly helpful and go quickly?
Probably supplies for sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Like deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, toiletries, things of that nature is something that, of course, having people intakes come in, weekly, daily, they're coming in with nothing. And so these things are being provided to them. So we use them up pretty quickly. I think that would probably be the other bigger types of items that we would appreciate.
Yeah. And one of the things Jeremy, you and I have spoken about before, what's nice about what we're doing at the Aston is that oftentimes when things get donated to an organization, they kind of sit in the warehouse here. It sounds like from what you've described to me, things go out to the participants pretty much right away. That, if we get deodorant in, participants will be, receiving that deodorant
Absolutely.
within the day or so. I mean, so we've
Correct.
got
They definitely ask for it. And so we try to make sure that we have it on hand as much as possible.
So probably also, I would imagine, other hygiene items, toothpaste, toothbrushes, are things that are useful.
Correct. Toothpaste, toothbrushes, different types of body wash, soap, that stuff gets used quite often, of course.
feminine hygiene products?
Yes.
Very good. Which actually, I'll pivot to a quick question and then jump back into the chat. Well, what's been the gender breakdown so far of the? So we've seen 7 depart. We have 80. You said how many currently in the building? 84 or 86?
84.
84. So we've had 90 folks come through, 91 folks. What has been the gender breakdown so far?
I mean, it's mostly male. We do have 2 women and 3 now, 3 women and family floors, but for the most part, it's the men floors are packed.
Gotcha. Do you envision that might pivot or change? Do you think that's going to be the pattern that we see?
I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure. I don't know how the other programs or shelters look as far as gender is concerned. But I believe that it'll probably stay like this, mostly men.
Gotcha. Christian and Sakina, if you want to weigh in from a citywide perspective, what are you seeing in other facilities like ours?
I would say that the breakdown of what Jeremy is describing is the same throughout our shelters. We have majority men, and that's why you will see like Harriet Tubman and Patricia Handy are our only women shelters. And then we have New York Ave, Adams Place, 801. So we have more male shelters because males tend to be those experiencing homelessness here in DC.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. While
I
we're
just
talking about,
wanted to-
oh, go on.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add one thing. We do have another bridge housing program coming online later this year. And we are hoping, I think, and Christian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, and nobody can hold us to this because things could change. But we are thinking that it could be more populated with women from our low barrier shelters and really provide an environment there where there is a larger percentage of women than we're seeing in some other places.
Very good. Thank you. Well, while we're talking demographics, I guess, again, we know that anyone over 18 is eligible to come to the Aston. What have we actually seen of those 90 folks we've seen? Generally, is there an age we've seen predominantly come through, or has it really been a whole range? What have we seen?
I would say that our younger folks probably don't frequent the Aston as much. I know that there are other programs out there for quote unquote youth. So between 18 and 26, so they wouldn't necessarily have to come to the Aston. I would say, late 30s, early 40s tends to be our biggest demographic, but we also do have seniors here as well. And again, we do have some of the younger folks, just not a lot.
Very good. And again, Christian, citywide, or Sakina, citywide, is that pretty much track what we're seeing citywide, that the age group that Jeremy's mentioned?
I was trying to let Sakina go first.
The median age of people experiencing homelessness typically is, depending on the year, right, over the last 5-6 years, 48 to 53 is what we're seeing in the annual report. Just
Gotcha.
majority of men,
Right.
3/4 of them.
Very good. Thank you. Alan, before I go back into the chat, I know you had your hand up. I don't know if and you took it down. Did that mean we answered your question, or?
No, I just wanted to comment on the toiletries that we were speaking about earlier, and just let everyone know that those, a lot of the things that they were speaking about are things that in normal life we take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But those little small items, help put people in the right mood to go look for that job and things like that. When they have deodorant and toothpaste, all those things that we take for granted are very important to rebuilding life. So thank you, Chris, very much.
No, thank you. And, Alan, building on what you're talking about, so much of the work we do, focuses on, and this is across all of our programming, focuses on dignity and autonomy. And, things like deodorant, as Alan said, are things that you and I may take for granted, but it's such a key part of our personal dignity to be able to, be someone who people would like to see. I can't think of a better way to say that. So, those things are most welcome. And as Jeremy had mentioned before, things that do get distributed very quickly, that that these things don't just sit in a room somewhere they go out to participants like that. I'm going to jump back into the chat here and ask some of the questions here. Gail, you ask, does Pathways refer clients? So who does where do people refer from?
Everywhere, but yes, Pathways definitely does refer clients.
Gotcha. What other service providers have you found? I mean, obviously people have to go through DHS to get referred to us, but do you find that we're working in close conjunction with other service providers besides Pathways in the city, or other folks really helping to contribute to the population?
Absolutely. I think Miriam's Kitchen is probably one of our biggest refers, but it kind of goes both ways, because Miriam's Kitchen does have an actual kitchen close by, so our participants can go get fresh food. I think it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe just lunch and dinner. Don't quote me on that. But they can go and get food from Miriam's Kitchen. So you come in close contact with the case managers frequently. So, yep.
Very good, thank you. You mentioned before that we have seen seniors, and Sonia actually asked in the chat, do we have programming specific to seniors? So what do we do? Well, obviously, and we know this from other work we're doing organizationally around older adults and housing stability for older adults. What specific different needs are you finding with the older population that come through our doors, and what are we doing to meet those?
So as I said earlier, thankfully, most people who come to the Aston are already connected with resources, whether it's for their age, for mental health, for substance abuse. So we work closely with whatever provider they're already working with. As far as the Aston is concerned, depending on what needs a senior may come in, we make sure that we're doing more wellness checks on them than, maybe a quote unquote normal participant. We're making sure that they're meeting with their case managers and things of that nature on a very consistent basis. And whatever help it is that they're asking for or may need specific to them, that we're getting that for them.
Very good, thank you.
The next case, we don't have specific programming for seniors, but we do have a lot of seniors in our housing program. So that would be the housing program with Anne's Place, formerly Anne Frank House, the HUD funded program attached to the Welcome Center, La Casa, of course, where we house 40 men, and it's a city building that we run and provide case management to the men with the city funding. And then in permanent supportive housing, that's called Neighbors First Individuals. And that's mostly Medicaid funding, but about 30% of the funding does come directly from the city. Our idea, and we've just launched in the last year, an advocacy initiative at the city level for seniors, would be to try to keep seniors in place as long as we can, so people can age in place longer with us. And by aging in place, we mean can avoid a move up to a nursing home, which is often challenging for people who have been served in a community-based environment and now move into a medical model. The feedback from the folks experiencing that is often that things are difficult, frankly. And so we are working, Lynn Amano, our director of advocacy, has assembled an initiative. We have about 9 or 10 different groups representing service providers and advocates in the city, and proposing to the DC Council some enhancement of the Housing First model, which would look something like Housing First Plus, where services would be available more easily in-house in a place like La Casa, for instance, but also could be wrapped around an oldest individual living on their own. And so that's a vision we have at Friendship Place for seniors in the future.
Very good, thank you. The next comment in the chat, Alan, to put the Welcome Center address. Thank you, Alan, for doing that. That's that very much serves as our flagship program. And one thing I noted further down in the chat is that tomorrow we are doing an open house at the Welcome Center from 5 to 7. And thank you to Tiaria and Faith who are on this call last I checked, and who make this available as a chance for supporters and friends to come by, learn sort of the history of Friendship Place, and see one of our programs firsthand. So please, if you're available to come, I drop my email in the chat. Drop me an email and I'll make sure that we are prepared for you, and should be these have been very exciting. And so that has been, we welcome you to come tomorrow, 5 to 7. We'll be doing others later on at La Casa and other facilities, but that's one is right most eminent. So Bob Adler, our board member, has asked the question, is there a waiting list to get into the Aston, and how long generally does it take to get placed there? So that's a great question. I mean, if I come to, if I decide right now that I need assistance and would like to find myself at the Aston or one of the other facilities, what's the process? What's the time period it generally takes?
So when we first opened, there was just a list for the Aston, but now there's a bridge housing list. Christian may want to speak a little bit more to this, but there's a bridge housing list, and then based on criteria, you are toured to one of the 3 bridge housing programs. It really depends, to be honest. What we found working with our list is that, our participants can be transient, and so they're not able to be found when we're calling for them, or if we call their particular case manager, permanent supportive housing case manager, they can't find them. And then we have to move on to who's next on the list. So, technically, yes, there's a list, but we're trying to bring people in, like I said, as quickly as possible. We've had intakes before where we've had 8 or 9 intakes in a day, which can be very time consuming. So yeah, we're trying our hardest.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up in the chat, someone complimenting Liza from the Welcome Center. T and Faith, you're on the call. So you see there, kind words for Liza, that she's wonderful and always follows through. So thank you, Roxana, for noting that. Brenda, you ask, is there a weekly or a regular locals farmer market that we can establish vendor relationships with, or to provide fresh fruits and veggies? So that's the question.
I'm not aware of any farmers markets in the area, but that's something we can actually look at and see if there's any in the area, and then see if there's any way where maybe they, any of the local local businesses that contribute to that farmers market might be able to assist. I think the question was like, is there a way to get them involved in donating some of the food? And maybe that's a possibility, but we would have to check and see if there's any farmers markets in the area.
DuPont Circle on Sundays.
Great.
Oh,
Thank you, Mark.
This is Bran. I mean, I'd be really surprised if there wouldn't be anything in the Foggy Bottom area. Again, I'm not down there that often, so I really don't know. Plenty of them here in Northwest, so there's got to be something down there that hopefully we could coordinate and collaborate with them, and they would have a kind heart, and donations would be great. But I'm sure we could work something out.
The Fresh Farm Market, I put the address in, and Foggy Bottom, I think it's Wednesdays.
Fantastic. So there are opportunities for us to look at. Thank you, everyone. This is the crowdsourcing that makes success. So very much appreciated, Mark and Susan and Brenda. Susan, you had asked a question. You happen to be next up in the chat, and we may have already answered it. We talked about 7 successes. Have we had any people leaving without having found housing? Jeremy, I think you may have discussed this a little bit. I don't know if you want to say any more.
Yes, maybe by failures, you mean people who we wouldn't count in the 7 successes as far as having stable housing. Yes, we've had participants who, living in a bridge housing program and having to follow rules that they don't get to make up themselves can be tough. It can be a very tough transition. So we have had people who have left on their own. We've had people who didn't, process with myself or any part of management or case managers, and they just didn't return. And we have a process for those participants as far as making sure that we're completing missing persons report with MPD and things of that nature. So yes, ma'am, we have had people leave what people may consider unsuccessfully, but
And I want to add in with that too, that as you talked about before, Jeremy, like success looks different for everyone. So even though we might, if someone were to like leave because they didn't want to go through the program, that's not to say that they might not have found success on their own somewhere else. We might not have that information, but we do know that some people tend to they may move in with a family member or connect with friends, and they don't return back to homelessness. So, and then also I say just for experience too with working with, the population, sometimes some setbacks can occur in order for then to there be some success in the future. So even them coming in to experience what the program was like, and maybe leaving it then I think does like kind of lay down the foundation that knowing that there is there is resources out there in the future that they can come back to.
Mhm. And specifically resources at Friendship Place. I mean, we have a number of, sometimes people need to work with someone, other program, other division to do different things. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that I like how you said that it lays the groundwork for success later, that it's not linear for everybody. So, Alan, you'd asked the question, can people cook? They have the little kitchenettes. Are people cooking in their kitchenettes there, or?
The ovens and stove do not work due to safety reasons, but the microwave does work, the refrigerator does work, and we encourage them to, if they're purchasing groceries, non-perishable items and microwavable food.
Very good. Thank you. Tezi, you had talked about, and you and I have spoken about your group that you work with, and this could be something, and I assume you're talking about the fresh food pantry is what you're referring to there in the chat as a place where you all may be able to volunteer and be a part of that. So perhaps if I am correct, if you want to send me an email, and Tezzy, you know my email offline, if I am correct in assuming what I'm reading here, and you are interested in leading in some of the volunteer coordinating for the fresh food, drop me an email. I'll connect you to Jeremy and Jonathan, and we may have solved what we're trying to do. So that's wonderful. Thank you. And if I'm wrong, go ahead and tell me that in the email also. Tezzy, you want to jump in there or say? Oh, you're muted.
I've got to talk it over with the group, and this always takes time, but hopefully it will not take very much time this time.
That's great. Well,
And
thank
I
you.
also put a couple more farmers markets in the chat.
Oh, thank you. We'll scroll on through here. Everyone can scroll ahead. I'm just reading as I'm going top to bottom, so I'll be surprised when I get to the end here. But thank you so much. Okay, so we can connect further if this is a possibility of your group helping to coordinate the fresh food pantry. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Let's see. Jonathan, you put the email address if people are interested in volunteering. You have aston@friendshipplace.org. Thank you. Roxana, you asked a question. Is there parking?
And I answered that in the chat.
Oh, you never said chat.
There's street parking in the neighborhood. It's the normal DC street parking situation where you can only park for maybe like 2 hours at a time if you're not zoned or don't have like the proper zoning for that area. And then also if you need for more long-term parking, there's garages in the area too. It's paid depending on which garage you go into. Some are more expensive than others, but that's kind of the parking situation in the area.
What happened was I tried to bring a whole bunch of clothing down, and I drove around for about 40 minutes, went to La Casa, came back, and finally parked completely illegally to help get the clothes back into the building. So I'm not sure, parking in because I can't do it by myself. I can't carry it all in by myself. So I'm wondering if there's places how I can.
Yes. If you are bringing donations, then we can there is a little driveway for folks to pull up to. Also right in front of the building, there's a way to pull up, temporarily, so then we can get the donations out and then bring them in. So there is a way. And then we also have like a back entrance to a garage that people can go into if we need to bring in through for the elevator too as well. So just I think once if you're going to be bringing anything, if you're in contact with the staff, then we can plan it out and how we can make sure we can have like a way for you to pull up, and we can help you with all the donations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. While we're on the topic of donations, the next thing in the chat was, can we talk about more about clothing needs, sizes? What sort of clothing is helpful? And what sort of drop-off time would you be looking towards?
I mean, you can drop off at any time since we're 24/7. We prefer the daytime though. We have a little bit more help. As far as sizing is concerned, I mean, it varies. But the most important piece is, like I said, the underclothes, the undergarments and things of that nature. Most participants come in, actually they come in with a lot of stuff, but the biggest piece that is missing is underwear. It's what we're asked for the most. Underwear, socks, things of that nature.
Thank you. Catherine, you asked about donations for toiletries, and I assume you're looking for travel size toiletries are generally better, or is full size okay? I guess I shouldn't speak.
I think that travel size is donated the most, but either or, to be honest.
Very good, thank you. Stephanie, you also asked about needing assistance. I'm hoping that some of the conversation we had earlier may have helped answer your question there. And if not, if you email one of us, we can connect you with the best way to approach getting to assistance. So certainly we stand ready to serve and help. Jonathan, I see you answered the question about street parking. Are the participants working? Do the participants have jobs?
Yeah, I would say about 20 to 25% of our participants are working either part-time or full-time somewhere.
Thank you. Tez, you reached out to me offline about someone that you've seen in the community. I will connect with the Welcome Center to answer your question offline there. So thank you. Tim Ernst, are there opportunities to reach out to neighbors to find volunteers? Tim, I think that probably answered, I think we probably answered your question, talking about some of the volunteer opportunities or donation opportunities. And if not, please let me know. And we're coming up on 10 too, so I may jump through a lot of the rest of the questions. Jeremy, a question I was going to ask, but Susan asked, what are the circumstances that find someone coming to assistance at the Aston? How does someone find themselves needing this assistance? Can you give like a typical I know there's no such thing as a typical background, but to the extent you can, what leads someone to need to be at the Aston?
Well, I know what after processing with a lot of participants, some of them have been at low barrier shelters and it didn't work for them. And so instead of being at a low barrier shelter, they go and they find themselves in the encampments. They're outside, they're in, tents and things of that nature. So that's why we kind of say that, everybody is not suitable for the low barrier shelters. And so being in a semi-private room like we have at the Aston can be better for their success than being at a low barrier shelter.
Very good. Steve, you'd asked in the chat, are we building a relationship with GW Hospital and the med school given the proximity? Is that something that we may have a connection with down the road?
At some point, usually it's helpful, yes, for us to develop relationships with local hospitals. For instance, the Welcome Center historically has had a really good relationship through one of our physicians with Sibley Hospital, and there are times when we can help somebody access care because of that relationship. So it's not something we've done yet, but something that we can do and build the ties with the local providers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, another question in the chat. We obviously are seeing some encampment clearings. How is that impacting the Aston?
With our second, when we originally started with 50 participants. When we opened it up to 100 participants, we saw a lot of people who were coming from the encampment, in the encampments once the current administration wanted to clear them out. So Yeah, definitely. We have a big majority, maybe half at this point, of people who are coming right from the encampments. Affecting, I wouldn't say much. I mean, you know, there's no differences in the participants per se, but I think that, you know, a lot of them are a little bit more um again, when we talk about program rules and things of that nature, they can question, but yeah, it's been a really good transition though.
Thank you. Sakina, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to share a little bit more about that since the encampment response team is out of our office of the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services. So we work very closely with a lot of our partners around the city, around encampments. I want to share that we have appreciated the fact that the Aston is an option for people coming from encampments. In fact, the funding that the district got through the federal government, through HUD, was in part predicated on the fact that we identified people from encampments as an eligible population. And that is something that we're very proud of. I do want to provide a little bit more context regarding whether and how we're looking at encampments. So we did have a response to one encampment that was influenced by the administration's interest in that encampment. But beyond that, the district's policies have not been changed or affected by the administration's stance on encampments. We have had a robust response to encampments over the last several years. The mayor is very interested in people transitioning into more stable and safe and dignified housing. She, as well as, you know, our leaders at Department of Human Services and across our partners really know that living in encampments, living unsheltered on the streets is not safe. It's not a healthy environment, and it's not a place that people can really sustain. And so we work very hard to do a couple of things with encampments. One is we work really hard to address sort of the health and safety concerns that are presented by encampments. So we have a very robust outreach teams throughout the city, Pathways to Housing, Miriam's Kitchen, and Community Connection that work every week. All of the encampments in the city are visited for wellness checks and for outreach to connect people to services. So we have our primary goal is to connect people to services. It is true that, health and safety issues occur and they accumulate. And also there are many places in the city where not only is it not, preferable for somebody to be living in public space, but there are ways in which it can impact the intended use of that space or address access by, the Department of Transportation or others to facilities. So there are times when we need to close encampments. And so that's a long way around just sharing a little bit about it, but it has been a really good asset for people to be able to access the Aston. And I think, like somebody said earlier, people who have been living in encampments are not necessarily people who enjoy rules. But some of them do have been able to transition very well and have welcomed the experience. Others, it may take several times for them to come inside before they really start to latch on and feel like they can work through their the things that they need to do to be more successful in terms of stable housing. So thanks for the opportunity to share that. I hope that's helpful.
No, thank you for sharing. So we're coming down to the last couple of minutes. So I do want to give Jonathan, Jeremy, Jean-Michel a few minutes to wrap up, but I do want to note that the next two things I see in the chat from Monet on our team. Thank you to Jeremy and Jonathan, who are both great shepherds for the program and great partners to work with. And Tim Ernst saying lovely things about the thank you for the amazing work we all do every day. Susan, very helpful information that parking gets a lot easier in Foggy Bottom after the academic year. Francis, great. If you glad you'll be at the open house tomorrow, Francis. Look forward to seeing you there. Let's see. Millie, I don't know if we'll have time to get into that question about potential. Go ahead.
Do a real quick one on that. So thank you, Millie. Yes, the district did discover upon purchasing the building that there were longstanding lack of maintenance issues. And so we did do a significant investment after bringing on board. And if you ever had the opportunity to see it, you can see that it is a very welcoming and a really beautifully designed building. So people who have seen it have been very positive. We are still working through, as we discover things, the district does a lot of maintenance and capital construction on all of its buildings. So we feel pretty good. We feel good about where we are, but there are going to be a couple things that come up, and we address them as they come.
Thank you. Well, and we've reached actually the end of the chat with Margaret's observation that people who are unhoused, who live in encampments, appreciate when they can be with others. And I think that's what we've talked about here today, is that people who are coming into the Aston are appreciating it. So thank you. So Sakina, I also want to give you a chance to say any closing words. And then so maybe Sakina and then Jonathan, Jeremy, and Jean-Michel to wrap us up.
I don't have anything else to add. This has been great. Thank you for inviting me.
No, of course. Thank you for being willing to say a few words. Jonathan, Jeremy.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you again for everybody for being interested in the program and for the support. And hopefully we can help so many individuals rebuild their lives and end homelessness here in the district, and continue to do this great work. And yeah, and I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Yeah, same for me. Thank you. When you're in it, you don't realize how much work you do until you have to answer all of these questions. So just we appreciate the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Jean-Michel.
Well, I want to thank you, Chris, for organizing the webinar as usual. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today and talking about this great new program, the Aston. We're looking forward to more conversations in the future. I want to thank our special guests, Sakina and Christian, for attending today, and all the speakers, Jonathan, Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you for your leadership at the Aston. I know, coming from a lot of residential work myself, that it takes a lot to run a 24/7 facility the way you do it and to manage a team so effectively. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your support. Come and see us on May 3rd in front of the Lincoln Memorial for Friendship Walk.
We've got the link in the chat. Thank you. And we have webinars 2 weeks from now. George Washington University students will be talking about a capstone project they did on Housing First. That's May 6th. May 13th. Lynn Amano, the Director of Advocacy, will be talking about advocacy in tough times. And Jean-Michel mentioned the walk. Got a lot going on. If you want to come to the Welcome Center tomorrow, drop me an email. Thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop recording now.